Yeah, so I watched American History X yesterday. Again, I rewatched American History X yesterday, and it traumatized me again. And I decided that I will not be rewatching all of the films in the top 10 because I don't have emotional capacity to handle such great films in such a quick succession. So we will have to rely on my judgment 8 years ago. So the last time I watched American History X was in 2016, and after rewatching it yesterday, the rating didn't change, so there is basically not much point in rewatching all of the movies. The curious thing that happened after rewatching American History X is that it's moved from the last place to the first place, and then it moved down like 5 places. So I decided that this top will not have places. All of the films I'm going to talk about are all number 1 in this top. So do with that as you will. I don't care, because they're all great films. And there is no point in placing one on top of another, because it's pointless. It's literally pointless. All the lesser films, like in the runners-up series, they are kinda you can differentiate between them because they all have different flaws. Movies in the top 10 don't have such problems. They're all great, so there is no much point in rating them. So I'm just going to talk about them in no particular order. I have an order. I compiled the list like 2 weeks ago, and I thought very thoroughly about it, and I will not gonna show it to you because it doesn't matter. And I want you to understand that the places in this top are not relevant, and you need to watch all of them. Like all of the films I'm going to talk about, you need to watch all of them. There is no point in rating them. Okay, before we start, honorable mentions. Okay, so now we're moving to the top in no particular order. Place number 1, American History X. This movie is not impeccable. As I said, I moved it to the first place after watching the first hour, and I was too hasty in my decision because it is half an hour too long. Like, the first hour is great. The following 30 minutes are okay. And the last 30 minutes, excluding the last 5 minutes, are... like, the brothers have no chemistry at all. And it's cringe-worthy. Seriously. Like, when they are separate, there is a story of a younger brother, and it's great. Then there is a story of the older brother, and it's also great. But when they are together, it's so cringe. So cringe. It's like full Metal Jacket all over again. Like the first half of the film is great, and the second half is terrible. So I say it's top 1, but it's definitely not top 1. This is a movie about hate. Don't be mistaken in thinking it's about racism. It's not about racism. Racism is just an example. The director chose racism as a conduit to explain how hate works. It could have been about homophobia, it could have been about misogyny, it could have been about religious bigotry, whatever. The director chose racism. Okay, he went with it. He showed it really well. Like, how compelling are these ideas. This movie could not have been made in 2010s. Because it would have been censored, cancelled, whatever. The left would not let this movie to be released. So you just have to watch it just for the sake of this, to gain some perspective how the perception of this problem changed. It has become so political that it is impossible to deal with it. Like the race, not just the racism, the race itself became a political issue. And it shouldn't be that. Seriously. Like racism in any form, including racism against white, should not be a thing. And okay, never mind. This is not a political video. Top 1. La Haine. So, continuing the topic of hate, the movie name literally translates as hate. It is a French movie, and it's a bit different. Like, despite the name, this movie is great not because of the message. This movie is great because of its structure. So, when the director started making it, he had only the last 3 seconds of the movie in mind. So, he knew how this film would end. And with that in mind, he started making this movie. And it shows how important this decision was. Because, like, there are a lot of movies, and I mention it regularly, that start out great and end disastrously. And this movie avoids this problem by thinking beforehand. So, the ending is important. The last 30 minutes are more important than the middle 30 minutes. And I wish more directors heed to this plea to make the second half of the movie at least as good as the first one. It should be better. Because we remember the ending more than the middle. So it's a very clever movie. I am not going to spoil any of it. You just have to watch it and watch it till the end. Because if you just watched 80% of it and decided, whatever, nothing happens in this movie, and drop it, you've missed the whole point. Seriously, you have to watch it till the end. If you don't, you haven't watched it. Yeah. Top 1. The Silence of the Lamb. So, this movie has no message at all. This is just a very great thriller. That's all. There is nothing more to say about it. Top 1. The Big Lebowski. This movie was one of the ones I wanted to rewatch because I had nothing to say about it. As well as I didn't have anything to say about American History X. I still don't have anything to say about The Big Lebowski because I haven't rewatched it, but it is a great comedy. Like a great comedy, and on top of it, it has a very nice message. You don't understand how rare comedies are in my tops. This third one, after 5 decades, there are 3 comedy mentioned. Like American Pie isn't in the top 10, obviously. So this is the second comedy in the top 10, so like you better believe it's good. Moving on. Top 1. Perfect Blue. Okay, so Satoshi Kon is a fucking genius. It's really a shame that he died that young. Like, he directed 4 full-feature anime movies, and all of them are good. 3 of them are great, one is okay, but like, this dude never misses. Like, there are actually people who like Millennium Actress. I think it's very mediocre and a shame to his filmography. But like, all of the other stuff he made is fucking great. And Perfect Blue is the second best anime he made. This is the perfect thriller, even though it is an anime movie, but like, I have never seen anything like it. The paranoia takes the hold of you. Like, you became paranoid just because you're watching it. Like, if you haven't heard about it, if you heard but haven't watched it, it's your sign to do it. Top 1. Good Will Hunting. You must have heard about it. It's one of the best. No, it is the best, I think. Yeah, I just checked. It is the best Robin Williams role. Dead Poets Society kinda comes close, but it's still the best Robin Williams role. It is a shame that he thought his career should be tied with comedy. He is such a good dramatic actor. It is a shame he didn't have more of such roles. It was also ahead of its time. Good Will Hunting is a story about trauma and how trauma destroys our life without us knowing it. It's a very emotional movie, and it's very moving, and it's very important to watch it because there is not a single person on this earth that doesn't have any sort of trauma or didn't have any sort of trauma. It is definitely a must-watch. Top 1. Reservoir Dogs. This is the best Tarantino movie. I already said that Pulp Fiction is an overrated piece of trash, and I love Tarantino movies, like Django, Kill Bill, all of the good stuff. But Pulp Fiction is trash. And Reservoir Dogs is the best movie he ever made. Top 1. American Beauty. Now, this is another movie I should have rewatched because I don't have anything to say about it. But this is a movie that stars Kevin Spacey, and for once Kevin Spacey is the main character. Like, usually he's like on the sidelines, secondary characters, but here, like, he's a great actor. Luckily, he's more popular than Ben Kingsley, but he's still very underappreciated, especially considering all the drama. I couldn't even tell you the genre of this movie, but it is a great movie. Top 1. Unusual Suspects. So, coincidentally, this movie also stars Kevin Spacey, and it is a great detective movie. Like, I might be a little biased because like a lot of places in my top 10s are detective movies. And I think it's because it's very hard to make a compelling detective story. Like, everything should make sense. There shouldn't be any plot holes around. So you'll have to do your diligence to make a good detective story. So as a result, the movie comes out more whole, more thought out. And it's good. It's a great detective story. And it stars Kevin Spacey. Well, Kevin Spacey is not so prevalent in this movie compared to American Beauty, but he's still there and he's still great. And it is a very interesting movie. Number 1. Fight Club. I don't know what to say about Fight Club. Watch it. Like, come on.
Come on.
You surely have heard about it. Now it's time to watch it. Number 1. Matrix. The Matrix. It's the same thing as with Fight Club. You surely have heard about it. It's your sign to watch it. Now, a small caveat. There are people who think that Matrix wasn't originally planned as a trilogy, and the sequels are just cash grabs and you shouldn't watch them. It's bullshit. The Matrix was originally planned as trilogy. I researched this topic after rewatching The Matrix. 2 movies I rewatched. First I rewatched The Matrix, And I was very anxious to do this because The Matrix have been in my personal top 10. Not just the 90s, the general top 10. And again, it was 7 years ago that I rewatched it last time, and I was very anxious to watch it because what if I was mistaken? What if it's not such a great movie? And it was. It was worse than I remembered it, but it still holds. It's still in the top 10. And if you look very closely, you will see that there are some things that planted beforehand, so the trilogy can flourish. So not only it is a fact that it was originally planned as a trilogy, you can actually see it in this movie if you look very closely. So the first Matrix is kinda like it is a typical hero story, and like the masses love it because of it. It's like a very simple hero story. One random dude wakes up and becomes a superhero. Like he literally flies at the end of the movie. And it's so basic, so simple, so dumb. Of course, people loved it. It's like Terminator 2. Like, it's a great action movie. Sure. But it's top 1, the best movie of the 90s, not because it is a great action movie. It is a great action movie, sure, but that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is The Matrix. Like, you need to realize that the life you're living is fake. It's not real. Whatever you think about the world is wrong. And until you realize it, until you understand all this bullshit, all these social constructs, you can't control your life. Like, this movie is not about, ooh, we are living in a simulation. Fuck that. That doesn't matter. Like, simulation or not, it is the life you're given. You have one life. Forget about afterlife, there is no such thing. Everything you do now is the only thing that matters. So you have to watch The Matrix if you ever want to be a human being. Like, because if you are not realizing the world you are living in, you are not living. And you need to watch the whole trilogy, not just the first part. The first part is the dumbest one. It is for the masses. For people who think The Matrix is just an action movie. If you want to become free, you have to work for it. You can't just be given superpowers. No Morpheus is gonna show up and you will not download Kung Fu in your brain.
I know Kung Fu.
Nothing is gonna happen. You have to take your freedom. You have to work for it. So that's why it is important to watch the whole trilogy, not just the first part. One more thing. So that's why it is better than The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, so this top is very important to me because I'm fucking dying. I have a fucking autoimmune disease, and like, on top of my mental health issues, I have a physical health issue that is fucking up my life. And so I'm not making these tops to become popular or anything. I'm making it as my legacy. Like, I spent a lot of fucking time watching movies, and I don't want it to come to waste. So it is very important to me to make these videos, and I have limited amount of time, and I'm not even halfway through. Yeah, I know that, like, but dude, you've covered a whole century. Now you only have 20 years left, but like there are still more better movies in the 21st century than there were in the 20th century, for the reasons I already mentioned. So I think, I'm not entirely sure, don't quote me on that. I don't know when the next video will be released, but like I'm pretty sure it will not be top 10 from 2000s, because I don't want to do this 3-part shit, like runner-ups part 1, runner-ups part 2, and then the actual top, because like in the 2000s there are more movies that deserve your attention than there were in the 90s. So it will not be 3 parts, it will be at least 5 parts, and it's stupid. So I used this as a cop-out to fit the format, but like it is unrealistic to expect it to work further. So I think the next video will be just like top 10 movies of 2000, then top 10 movies of 2001, and so on and so forth. So that means I have at least 23 videos left to make, and I don't know how many I will manage to do before I will be not fucking able to anymore. I really wanted to make this top good and to make it the best it could be. I wanted to rewatch all of the movies that were in this top, but I fucking can't. It takes too much from me to watch these movies. Like, it takes a week to process all of the emotion that they evoke from me. I fucking can't. I don't have enough time to do this. So you will have to rely on my judgment from 7 years ago. So please like and share and comment. First of all, like, comments are the most important thing to me, because I can actually reply to you while I'm still alive. Determinism is freedom.